Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to finish up our discussion of nanostructures by talking about applications of quantum dots. We'll start by talking about light emission from semiconductor nanostructures, which is a current important application. But the second thing I'd like to talk about are metal nanoparticles for use in single electron transistors, an application that's still only in research labs. Anyway, I think it'll be interesting and it'll be a nice way to wrap up our discussion of nanostructures. Here, hang on for a moment. Okay, so we've already talked about light emission from quantum dots, and we can see that how these might work as fluorescent light emitters. In a fluorescent emitter, the dot would be excited by short wavelength light, by blue light or ultraviolet light. And then the electrons that we excite would be, fall into the lowest confined state of the quantum dot and then recombine with holes in the highest confined state. And this produces fluorescence. And quantum dots have some really favorable properties that have made them outstanding fluorescence emitters. They've been used as fluorescent tags in biology and as phosphors in displays. First, here's a more complete picture of a semiconductor quantum dot. In this drawing, the red things are the atoms in the core of the quantum dot. That's what we've been talking about up till now. But efficient emitters always have a shell as well. The shell is a larger bandgap semiconductor. And what it does is it protects the core. Without the shell, the fluorescence is usually weak because the energy can be given up to the surrounding medium. The last thing, something we haven't talked about at all, is that semiconductor quantum dots can be functionalized by attaching ligands that allow them to dissolve in water or to be solvated in water or another solvent. So this allows them to stay in solution and not agglomerate. It's just a detail from our point of view, but of course it's really important for applications. So in this way, one can make these solutions that bear quantum dots that we've already seen in class. Okay? So the main application of semiconductor quantum dots actually is as fluorescent light emitters. Okay? So these are heavily used now in biology. And the reason is the following. Quantum dots, first of all, they can be designed to emit at any wavelength one likes in the visible. And so I can have a set of quantum dots of different wavelengths that I can use for different purposes. The second is that these are very robust. They keep fluorescing basically forever and ever. In contrast, organic dyes, which also can be used as fluorescent tags, break down over time when they're exposed to ultraviolet light or just by interacting with the environment. So semiconductor quantum dots are kind of more useful. They're more robust, and they you have more control over things like the color at which they fluoresce. So you can imagine injecting a solution with quantum dots, and the quantum dots perhaps have some tags on them that allow them to bind to different sites inside of your host, okay? Like this poor mouse here. I think one application is to get them to bind to tumor sites, for example, okay? Here's an example of some poor mouse that's been, had a number of different fluorescent tag quantum dots, and you can see them all fluorescing at different colors. They can also be used even inside of cells to decorate different structures inside of cells. So this is a really important application of quantum dots for science. Okay. A second application that's already in the marketplace is as phosphors for displays. And here's how this might work. in a display, there's a source of blue light, like a large area organic light emitting diode made from organic semiconductors. And then in front of each pixel in the display, you have quantum dots, either red fluorescent quantum dots or green fluorescent quantum dots, or just blank, no quantum dots in essence. And then when the pixel is activated, you can imagine the quantum dots absorb the blue light and re-radiate red light, or if it's a green pixel, they absorb the blue light and re-radiate in the green, or if it's supposed to be a blue pixel, then the blue light is just allowed to come through. Okay, well, that's a quantum dot display. And quantum dots are good because they're very efficient, they're very robust and long-lasting. And this technique has some advantages. This technique, where we're using a fluorescent phosphor, has some advantages over having a white light emitter, which you then put filters in front of. Okay? And these kind of displays are already in the marketplace. You can go out and buy a QLED TV. And here's one at Best Buy, for example, one of about 20 that they seem to sell right now. I think this one's about $500 if you're hankering for one yourself. So that's the application of quantum dots as light emitters. Before we go to the next subject, I think I'll stop this video and we'll continue on the next one, okay?